One of the biggest fights on the Garcia-Romero card will be this one. Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza have been circling each other for quite a while. Both have called out the other, meaning that this fight already has a lot of drama. Problem is that Lopez doesn't really consider Barboza as a true threat, and he believes he's simply on a different level. This will make for interesting television in the lead up to their fight on May 2nd. It'll essentially be an overconfident 27-year-old facing off against the world's 7th best active light welterweight. So, who will win, and what do the experts think? Let's start with Arnold Barboza Jr. The California native has an unblemished record, having knocked down a couple of big names on his journey to 32-0. His last 5 fights have all gone according to plan. Barboza won 4 of the last 5 by decision, and the other by corner retirement. His technique and style seem comfortable throughout all these fights, not showing a hint of any weakness due to his age. His worst of the last 5 is probably the split decision victory over Sean McComb. Despite McComb being seemingly in control, he would go on to win the bout via split decision, and this would allow him to retain his WBO Intercontinental Light Welterweight title. Many fans didn't agree with this decision, but it naturally kept his unblemished record intact. Lopez, on the other hand, is also undefeated in his last 5 bouts. His most recent and only loss was back in November 2021, when the New York native fell to George Kambosos Jr., losing the lightweight titles. Since this loss, he has rebounded, showing incredible skill in winning 5 on the trot. 4 of these 5 victories came via decision, with a single TKO victory over Pedro Campa. Nevertheless, he has learned quite a few lessons, and this has certainly enabled the New York native to improve his defensive boxing style. His recent 2024 bout with Steve Claggett was also a dominant display, and whilst he didn't manage to get the knockout, he dominated the judges' scorecards, which certainly increased his stock heading into this fight. With both fighters being dominant in their last few fights, it makes it increasingly difficult to determine a clear favorite. Both have engaged in various debates through social media, even going as far as calling each other out on various podcasts. Perhaps the tale of the tape might reveal who could be the clear favorite. Both fighters are around 5'8", with Barboza narrowly edging his opponent by 2/3 of an inch. Such a small height difference shouldn't really affect the bout too much, and it should be pretty even in this regard. Barboza does have a better record, being undefeated at 32-0. This contrasts with his opponent, who dropped a single fight and now has a record of 21-1. One of the biggest differences, though, comes in the form of reach. Barboza has a reach of 72 inches, whereas Lopez is only at approximately 68.5 inches. This doesn't seem like a lot, but it'll significantly affect the various styles of the two. Heading into this massive bout, both fighters prefer an orthodox stance and tend to focus more on traditional boxing techniques over some of the more unorthodox styles like Romero has. This could shift the focus back to age and experience once again. Barboza hasn't slowed down one bit, despite being much older than his opponent. He has been in more fights and has learned to deal with various strategies and styles. Perhaps one of the only things that Lopez might rely on is his slight edge and speed. He might naturally try to tire out Barboza. However, the reach advantage means that this is the perfect fight for Barboza to take the distance. If he manages to use this to his advantage, he could frustrate Lopez. This means that Lopez will need to take more risks for him to get closer. Dropping his guard might lead to opportunities to bring the fight to a premature end. Keep in mind that both fighters also enter the ring as champions. Despite Lopez relegating Barboza to nothing more than an interim champion, both have experience in these high-profile matches. This has naturally been a talking point, and something mentioned in various encounters between the two. Now, despite all of this, and the fact that Barboza is undefeated, the odds still sway in favor of Lopez. Many experts and betting agencies give the champion a 66% chance of winning the fight. But a lot is going on if you consider the drama and the narrative. In fact, Barboza feels like Lopez has been dodging him, not willing to take the fight due to the fear of losing. First of all, we need to start with the different career paths that have led to this moment in time. Both fighters began building their careers and racking up numerous victories. However, many people can agree that Lopez has taken on far more high-profile fights. This includes some of the bigger names and might also be the reason for his one loss on his profile. Unfortunately, this has brought into question whether or not the California native has the ability to be consistent. On the other hand, Barboza has been steadily building his career. His natural old-school approach to fights and promotions has allowed him to be more nitpicky over his opponents, and many speculate that this is the main reason for his incredible record. Moreover, it's also given him a reputation for being a somewhat more resilient fighter than his opponent. With Barboza making such a great effort to claw his way into the title picture, this has really brought another narrative to the fight. Many will agree when we say that this is the epitome of an established champion taking on a hungry challenger. Moreover, his style and personality have enabled Barboza to fully embrace the role of the underdog. This has naturally brought more and more fans on board. He's often seen as the fighter who never got the opportunity to take on some of the bigger champions like Lopez. Barboza also runs with this narrative, telling the world that it feels like Lopez has been avoiding him for years. Lopez, on the other hand, doesn't even credit the career of Barboza. He likes boasting about the weaker opponents Barboza has been fighting, and loves telling the world that he's truly not deserving of this record. Naturally, this has led to even more animosity between the two fighters, which has further driven the narrative. With the narrative of an underdog finally earning his opportunity now widely being accepted for the bout, Lopez believes that he needs to overcome Barboza, break his winning streak, and prove to the world that he's undeserving. It also makes him the antagonist in this situation, which has been reaffirmed by some of his recent comments on podcasts and social media. Now, fans are also jumping on board with both these boxers, and this has further driven the storyline. However, the fight is taking place on a high-profile card, often referred to as the Ring's Fatal Fury City of the Wolves card. But these fights cannot be settled on social media, and it'll all come down to what happens on May 2nd in New York. So what do the experts think will happen? The experts have made various critical points that should be noted for this fight. One of the biggest is that many believe Lopez to be somewhat inconsistent in his style and technique. He tends to lose focus, and this could naturally count against him in this massive bout. Moreover, Barboza does not have the high-profile match experience that Lopez has. Given the fact that a lot of eyes will be on this bout, it could put a lot of pressure on Barboza to perform. Additionally, Barboza has been willing to take on far more fights than his opponent, and this could give him an edge in being fight-ready. Should both fighters be at their peak for this bout, Lopez should naturally overcome his opponent. This will likely turn into a technical showdown that will go the distance. Lopez could probably retain his title on a split decision, having a bit more of a champion advantage. With the fight being a few weeks away, a lot could happen in the build-up. The two have already had a heated exchange in recent weeks, and this will naturally add more fuel to the fire and shift the opinions of experts. We believe that Lopez is more likely to emerge victorious and retain his championship. There's absolutely no doubt that this will be a massive opportunity for both fighters. Lopez will be able to prove critics wrong and show that he's a consistent fighter. However, Barboza will certainly want to reaffirm the fact that he is truly deserving of being champion. But who do you think will emerge victorious on May 2nd? Make sure to let us know in the comments.